frosting and sprinkle a light layer of chocolate sprinkles, and then your cake's ready for all your guests to enjoy.
Ah, thank you, Amy. I'll have to try that recipe next time I cook. Now, on to our next show. Today we will follow the story of Forrest Nash and his producer Peggy as they try to stop the killings in the town of Gallows Creek in our new radio drama, Killer Frequency. Let me ask you a question. How often do you listen to the radio? Maybe in the car, or perhaps while you're at work.
Got the banana!
Luckily, that was my fake banana.
I got one too! Put them up!
There's plenty more where that came from, kid.
What do you mean there's plenty more? Where are you getting all these from? You know...
Now, unless you listen to sports, I doubt many young people actually listen to the radio when given the choice. Sure, your parents or even grandparents listen to it regularly, but the radio isn't as much as a necessity as it once was.
My fellow Americans.
But let's dial it back to 1987. The radio is king. Everyone listens to the radio. People listen to the radio for their music, news and audio dramas. Hell, Superman's kryptonite originates from radio drama. Radio hosts were once considered rock stars, and if you still don't understand what I'm talking about, radio was once as big as podcasts are today. Okay, now that we're on the same page, that's good because I'm never going to tell you this again. The game we're going to be talking about today is Killer Frequency, made by Team 17, who made both The Escapists, Golf with Friends, and Worms. So they have a pretty impressive backlog of horror games. Killer Frequency was first released on Game Jolt and feels like a more advanced version of Do You Copy, a game which takes place entirely in a watchtower where you must guide a survivor back to safety without drawing the attention of the creature hunting him down. Similar to Amanda the Adventurer, which was first released onto Game Jolt and was later re-released on Steam in its fully imagined form, Killer Frequency was a big hit on Game Jolt, and after its success, Team 17 partnered with the developer to bring the game to Steam in its fully imagined form.
Just weeks from retirement, the public to follow his example.
So this lady's near the station, and the killer's miles from the station. Yeah, because this isn't going to be fucking terrifying.
Out here?
So, yeah, this is where the, start of the game was. Okay. Don't do that to me. Don't do that, bro. I'm keeping my eyes open. As soon as I see this whistling dweeb, I'm booking the fuck out of here.
Survived that fall? Looks like the janitor's closet.
Hello,
What did Peggy say his name was?
What
Clive?
the hell is all this? Oh yeah, because this isn't creepy. Just like Amanda the Adventurer, the Game Jolt version of the game is bare bones, with the potential of the idea being fully utilised once released on Steam. And when it was released on Steam, the upgrades are as clear as day. The game got better, the voice talent was improved, better gameplay and a better story. The play area was also improved, with you no longer being in a cramped room, but instead a large radio station, which was made so much bigger, even the game's protagonist comments on the size.
Far back corner. Why is this station so big?
Now, a good horror game is often known for its gameplay. Alien Isolation has its first-person survival element.
He's close, wherever he is. Oh shit. Last stand, boys! Run. Run, 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 run. Climb! Climb into the vent, please! Fuck. Please. Now, my biggest mistake there was firing at the alien.
Subnautica is an amazing use of terror, and Overcooked has the fear of not getting all of the food out in time. And yes, I did say I was making a Subnautica video. I know that I just don't follow up on my promises, but that's because I have the attention of a lobotomite. Killer Frequency's gameplay is rather innovative. Unlike other puzzle games which fall into the horror genre, you never actually meet anyone in the game until the end, of course, where We're not dealing with iron-lung isolation levels here. There are people in the game, but they're either slightly out of reach or over the phone. You only ever see two people in the game, the Whistling Man and Peggy, with Peggy being locked in the producer's office, with you only ever being able to see her silhouette. Now, you're never as locked in as games like FNAF or Ironlung, but you do have some freedom. During the game, you will receive calls from the victims who will plead for your help with fleeing the Whistling Man. Now, because the victims of the game are never actually near the station, you will have to explore the station and look for clues, whether they be using a magazine to hotwire a car, or using a map to help a kid get out of the maze, with the most unique puzzle being the third one, where Forrest must use an office layout to call different rooms to keep the killer preoccupied, while the victim figures out how to survive. And the game doesn't follow a steady learning curve. Puzzles don't just get harder as the game goes on, with some puzzles seeming hard while being easy, and some puzzles seeming easy but are hard. And the game doesn't hold your hand with some of these puzzles, needing you to pick up what you feel is the best option. Even the tutorial makes you choose based off your own intuition. In fact, at one point in the game, you need to use a board to figure out who the next victim is going to be, and you can't just pull up pause and see what your current objective is, or what your last hint was, meaning you're going to have to either remember or take notes during the game, or be like me, a gigachad, and Google the answers because 5-letter words confuse you. And none of the puzzles feel repetitive, as each has its own unique feel, with some puzzles hiding in plain sight, with the victims involved calling earlier during the night and only becoming a victim later in the night. There's even a point in the game where a mysterious caller called Dawn, who during the course of the game will call with cryptic messages and requests. Her first call is denied due to the song not being in the collection. And speaking of songs, let's talk about the side activities. During the night, you have spare time where you can mull over previous dialogue or create theories about the game's plot and who the killer is. And because you're a radio station, you need to fill that time, and you can either play advertisements or a song. The advertisements are played in a form of an audio cassette, which for those who don't know are one of these and are played in a cassette player.
And speaking of advertisements, let's perform a little self-plug. To anyone watching, go follow me on Instagram so you can keep up to date with all my projects, and even tell me video ideas if you want. And remember, link in description.
And the songs are in the form of an audio, vinyl or record, or if you want to be funny, an LP. And unlike cassettes, LPs have made a comeback, and in England at least, their popularity has revived the whole market.
Alright.
Well, what would you like, brown or what?
Try the brown.
Brown, right.
Not bad.
Not bad, not bad. It's fucking awful, that stuff. Fucking brown stuff.
Now, Dawn requests a song, which leads to us going outside to find it, which adds to our collection and is one of 4 records hidden around the station. There are also 4 cassettes you can get throughout the story, but in Dawn's second call, she asks for help with breaking into her house, stating she simply forgot the code. Now, because Dawn is obviously letting on less than she actually knows, Forrest and Peggy both find her request sus. She says that the whistling dork is hunting her down, yet unlike any calls before, no whistling can be heard, and she says she's near Town Hall despite a train being audible in the call, and Town Hall is located nowhere near the tracks or the station. We also hear music and a dog. An earlier call during the night, roller Ricky is stated to both love music and have a dog, so Dawn is actually trying to break into the roller rink. And if the player doesn't notice these inconsistencies, Ricky will die. So the gameplay loop is actually reversed here. Instead of stopping the killer, you're actually aiding them. The game starts off in an alleyway, and walking down the alley we learn some of the basic controls, and entering the building the player is attacked by a mysterious killer, the Whistling Man.
Oh, scary music. Oh, there's a man at the door. Oh dear. Oh no, bro. Oh no, he's at the door. No, he's gonna kill me. Pick the last trap. No. No! Scary man in game. No! Oh my god, bro. Don't kill me. Whatever will I do now?
Taking the POV as Forrest Nash, a disgraced radio host whose career blew up so bad he's been exiled to the small town of Gallows Creek. Throughout the game, Forrest can be heard talking about his former life, constantly talking about how big his crowds were and how he's gone from playing the radio station to 5 million listeners in Chicago to 35 in Gallows Creek. And not just that, but he's been placed on the graveyard shift with an inexperienced producer, Peggy. Peggy is the game's second protagonist and lifelong resident of Gallows Creek. She lost both of her parents, with her dad being her stepdad, whose second name she adopted after her father left for the milk. Peggy also has a sister who disappeared and is presumed dead. The two developed a relationship of sorts, and during the game, the player can choose to treat Peggy differently, either by having Forrest take credit for her work or insult the town at every opportunity, or the player can make Forrest and Peggy get along, and the two can become trusting of each other, and the player can choose to stay neutral. Once you actually start the game, it gives you two choices: for Peggy to go through the pre-flight checks, which acts as the second half of the game's tutorial, but if you've played the game before, you can skip this and get right onto the first victim. I would personally recommend taking the pre-flight checks if you haven't played before, or if you have played before, just think of it as the Gears of War 1 Dom choice. Hell, even Gears of War 2, if you just want extra dialogue that makes a bit of world building, take it.
Defend Carmine, sir! Reporting for duty, sir!
Drop the sir shit, kid. We're not that polite out here. Come on, let's go.
George.
Carmine.
I hurt, Sarge.
Getting the first call of the night, Forrest answers to find the town's 911 operator, and for my British viewers, that is the US version of 999. Confused, Forrest asks her if it's a slow night, which doesn't tickle the operator's funny bone. Her name is Leslie, by the way. Leslie says that because of a breakdown in communication with the sheriff's office, she went to investigate and found the sheriff's throat has been slit and the deputy locked in the cell unconscious. Before they can figure out what's wrong, Leslie reports a whistling noise coming from outside, which causes both her and Peggy to think that the local serial killer, the Whistling Man, has returned despite being confirmed dead in the 1950s, nearly 30 years ago. This is the third part of the game's tutorial, which leaves not much room for cock-ups. I'm not going to tell you how to save everyone because the video would be then 4 hours long, so just Google how to save everyone, or fuck it, play the game through and figure it out yourself, lazy prick. After saving Leslie, she takes the deputy and drives to the closest town to get backup. And throughout the night, different people will call and they will add to the mystery of the Whistling Man. You can also get calls from Ponty's Pizza, a shameless chef who will advertise the shop at any moment, and as I mentioned before, Dawn. After going outside to retrieve Dawn's disc, Forrest finds himself locked outside and after fixing some fuses with the help of maths. Truly, all my time playing Papa's Pizzeria on cool maths games has finally paid off. Forrest re-enters the building via the surface lift in the basement and finds a hidden room in Clive the janitor's office. And holy shit, this fucking room, I could never be prepared for what I saw ever in my life.
You say his name was?
What?
Clive?
The hell is all this? Oh yeah, because this isn't creepy. Oh!
What the hell? Peggy is not gonna believe this.
Holy shit. Stop with those noises! Stop it! Bad video game! Bad! I will uninstall!
Inside, Forrest finds a key to the rest of the building and a board full of clues. Because this looks fucking sus, both Forrest and Peggy start asking callers what they know about Clive due to the likelihood he is the killer. Thinking there's more evidence in Clive's basement, Forrest heads down and finds a cassette to play.
Hey, Forrest!
Oh my days!
Some warning before yelling down the intercom?
Genuinely got me.
Sorry. Buzz the intercom when you find something and want to discuss it.
Oh! Oh, what the hell? Yeah, no, fuck that.
Peggy, I've found a tape and a map down here.
A map of what?
Looks like it might be to somewhere in this storage area.
Weird. information. Give it a play.
George Barrow, 1968. That's when this all began for me. Follow the maps, find the tapes. I'll be waiting.
Clive?
George Barrow? We all heard that he drowned after a night out drinking. Was it actually Clive?
So it turns out Clive has set a game of cat and mouse inside of a storage cupboard, and he's hidden audio logs, documents and pictures around it. Now, this wouldn't be a problem, but the storage room is incredibly cramped and claustrophobic, and because my brain's been pre-programmed to expect jump scares in these conditions, I actually had a mini breakdown and had to watch Netflix on the side as a distraction.
You got that. Oh, shit, I can't do it. It's not a horror game. Or is it? I can't. Oh, it's breaking my mind. It's breaking my leg. Oh, it thinks it's hilarious. It thinks it's funny. That's it. The game's laughing at me. The video game is laughing at me.
I'll probably think I'm taking the piss. Oh, hi, it's me in my face. But I've got an earbud here. In just an episode of like Peaky Blinders episode 3, because I just can't. I can't focus on the game anymore because I'm too scared I know it's not jump scares. I know the game's got no jump scares. At least I think it hasn't got jump. I tried looking at it from this screen, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, man. It's actually getting. I hate that the game's getting me. I hate it. I hate that the game's getting me. I beat Dead Space 1, and that was more scary than. I'm coping.
Onkyo system. Yeah, because this isn't a normal thing to keep you sane. That power box is gonna go out. I'm calling it. If it does, I swear to God.
In the basement, we find medical reports and audio logs which talk about how a football jock called George died, and how there was clearly a cover-up due to the fact that all the evidence we find just doesn't add up. Like how the body showed signs of being moved post-mortem due to the fact that he was found in a dam where the water doesn't flow. This is important because the sheriff's report says that he was found having washed up. But again, there's no current, so how can he wash up? At the end of the corridor, we find Clive's desk, where he leaves a message saying that if he doesn't die, he's going to take all the evidence to big news sources due to the local ones squashing the story.
If you're listening to this, then I'm probably dead.
What? A new vinyl for my collection.
I've got subscriptions to newspapers all over the country. A few weeks ago, I noticed headlines cropping up in those papers, one after the other. Each headline about a murder. Each murder, the death of someone I knew almost 20 years ago. And each one drawing closer to Gallows Creek. Drawing closer to the anniversary. None of us are innocent, but I don't think we deserve killing. All I hope now is that I can save some folk from the worst, and I can. I don't know. Do something to make up for what I did back then, I guess. I didn't kill anyone, mind you, but that's past mattering. Now, there's more I could say than I should say, but my employer made it clear that my family would pay a high price if I ever spoke out. So, hopefully I've said enough for you, listener, whoever the hell you are, to start putting the truth together.
The fact that Clive hasn't shown to work tells us the person we play as at the start of the game was in fact Clive. Returning to the office, Forrest finds that Dawn is the killer due to a previously mentioned call. However, another victim, Murphy, tells us he fought a man, and Roller Ricky also agrees the killer is a guy, but the caller is Dawn. Later in the night, the last victim calls from the hospital and explains George's death was an accident and that he was a prank victim. Clearly, the prank was too epic. Saying that 30 years ago, that very night, previous victims were involved in the death of George. These people involved, the people involved were George, Jason, Roller Ricky, Maurice, Clive, Teddy Gallows Jr. and George's girlfriend, Bean. But before Jason can say who George's girlfriend was, the power to the station is cut.
Her name was...
What?
Oh, what?
What happened?
The
Are we still
power
on
went?
air?
Oh, no. Okay, I know what I'm doing now. Okay.
So, returning to the basement, Forrest restores the power, but as he starts to leave...
We've got power.
Oh, hell no.
The Whistling Man. I need to warn Peggy.
Running back to Peggy, we find her office open, and once we enter...
Go. No way. This can't be happening.
Entering Forrest's station, the Whistling Man flips a sofa and presses a button on the desk. After Forrest presses a call button, Dawn starts talking, but the Whistling Man doesn't move. It's soon revealed that there is in fact two whistling men, Dawn and her son. Dawn is currently with Teddy Gallows Jr., while her son is with us, which means Murphy and Roller Ricky were right when they said they saw a man, and Forrest and Peggy were right when they said the killer was Dawn. Fun fact, if you look at the calls with Dawn throughout the game, she never actually denies being the killer, and it actually gives hints that align with Clive's notes. And speaking of Clive's notes, we learn that in them, everyone involved in George's death who had not moved away had died, with the killings moving from town to town and slowly making their way to Gallows Creek. And this aligns with the fact that Dawn says she moved to the town a week ago. Before this encounter, we got a call from Leslie saying that she was on her way back with the fucking boys, and Leslie asks Dawn that when Forrest next calls, find out where she is. While on the phone with Dawn, we find out that her son is George's, and we also learn that George died after falling off the cliff while running from Teddy Gallows Jr., who was pretending to be the killer for a prank. Despite him saying it was a joke and George fell down, Dawn says Teddy pushed him. We also learn that most of her victims had something to do with George's death being covered up. But because Teddy Gallows Jr. earned half the town, he used his influence to keep his son's name out of the papers, and we learn that just like his father, Gallows Jr. acts exactly the same. Even 30 years later, he still thinks he did nothing wrong. As Forrest learns that Dawn is in the gymnasium where George used to play basketball, Peggy arrives after this. It's then revealed that Dawn is Peggy's sister, and while we were on the phone to Jason, Peggy got a call saying she had one last chance to see her sister, so she just left while the power was out. Now this might come as a shock to a brain like you, but for us Chads who actually listen to the game's details and remember information, you'd remember Peggy mentioning her sister disappeared. That'll teach you to remember simple information, you fucking lobotom. Dawn says that she's going to kill Peggy because their parents are dead and she forgot about her, despite it being in the 1980s, where communication is non-existent, and the fact that Dawn ran the fuck away. But we can convince Dawn that Peggy didn't forget about her by showing her the card that Dawn made Peggy when she was 8. It's clear Dawn isn't the smartest bullet in the barrel, because if you keep everyone alive, Forrest tells Dawn that her presumptions about the people involved with George's death were wrong. But because she's so balls deep, she decides to keep going, but before she can...
Henderson police! Freeze! No! Henry! Get out of there!
Peggy!
We have 2 wounded, and we're in pursuit of the suspect.
Henderson police! Freeze!
Forrest!
Leslie! How's Peggy?
She's been cut pretty bad, but we're here now.
I'll be okay.
After the son runs away, Forrest signs off for the night and says he's going to see if Peggy's okay, and then we're taken to the credits, which take place in the storage room. We can see who survived or died, and we get intermittent bursts of the radio channel of the cops pursuing one of the killers. We never actually learn who they're chasing, we just know it's one of the Whistling Men, but it is confirmed one of them escapes while one is taken into custody. Now, because the game's set in a radio station, you're going to need some good music, and does the game have any?
Yes.
From hidden discs that add tunes to our collection, the songs themselves are good, and the ambient music is fucking terrifying. with it, creating suspense in areas where there shouldn't be any. There's little radios around the station which let you play songs that you left running on, so you can remove some of the terror tunes, as well as the sound effects you can play during phone calls. All in all, Killer Frequency is a game I would always recommend, with it being fun and simple, and its gameplay is amazing, and it's killer music. Also, remember to follow me on Instagram for updates, and as always, till next time.